The first thing the police found was my back door standing open. The second thing they found was the kitchen chair lying on its side, like someone had knocked it over in a hurry. The third thing they found was me, sitting on the front steps, barefoot, bleeding from a cut on my forehead, staring at my phone like I was still waiting for it to ring again. They kept asking me the same question over and over. "Who was in your house tonight, sir?" And I kept giving them the only honest answer I had. "I don't know, but he knew my name, and he knew my house better than I did." 3 weeks earlier, my life had been quiet in the way only lonely houses are quiet. I'm 62 years old, widowed, retired from a job I didn't particularly love and a routine I still haven't learned how to replace. My daughter calls every Sunday. My neighbors wave but don't stop to talk. Most days, the longest conversation I have is with the cashier at the grocery store. The house is bigger than I need now. 2 floors, 3 bedrooms, a long hallway that always stays a little darker than the rest of the place, no matter how many bulbs I change. My wife loved this house. She said it had good bones. I think what she meant was that it creaks and groans like something alive when the temperature drops. I never believed in that kind of thing. Not really. The night everything started, I had just come back from the store. It was late, close to 9, and raining hard enough that the sound filled the entire house. The kind of rain that makes you feel like the world outside has been erased. I remember standing in the kitchen, putting away groceries, when my phone buzzed in my pocket. I almost ignored it. I don't get many calls, and I get even fewer voicemails. Most people who know me just text. But when I took the phone out, there was no missed call. Just a single notification. New voicemail. That was strange enough to make me open it. The message was short. Too short to be a wrong number. Too short to be a robocall. All I heard was breathing for a second. Then a man's voice, low and calm, said my name. Arthur. Not loud. Not rushed. Just certain. Then the message ended. I stood there in the kitchen, phone in my hand, listening to the rain hit the windows. Nobody calls me Arthur unless they're selling something or reading it off a piece of paper. My friends used to call me Art. My wife did too. After she passed, almost nobody used my name out loud anymore. I checked the number. Unknown caller. I told myself it was a mistake. Someone dialing the wrong phone, realizing it too late. I deleted the message and went back to putting away the groceries. I didn't think about it again until I noticed the back door. It was unlocked. That doesn't sound like much, but I'm careful about my doors. Always have been. The back door especially. It opens onto a small deck and then straight into a line of trees that marks the edge of my property. There's no fence, no real barrier, just woods. I locked it every night, out of habit more than fear. That night it wasn't locked. I stood there longer than I should have, one hand on the handle, listening to the house. The refrigerator hummed. The rain kept falling. Somewhere upstairs, the old wood popped and settled. Nothing else. I told myself I must have forgotten. I locked the door, checked the windows, and finished unpacking the groceries. Still, I didn't sleep well. Around 2 a.m. I woke up because I thought I heard someone walking in the hallway. I lay there in bed, staring at the ceiling, holding my breath. The sound didn't come again. In the morning, I convinced myself I dreamed it. The second voicemail came the next evening. Again, no missed call. Just a message waiting for me when I checked my phone after dinner. I hesitated before opening it. The same voice spoke. Arthur, you should lock the back door earlier. You almost forgot last night. My stomach tightened so fast it felt like someone had grabbed it in their fist. The message ended there. I checked the house. Every room. Every closet. Under every bed, even though I felt ridiculous doing it. Nothing. No broken windows. No open doors. No sign anyone had been inside. I sat in the living room for a long time after that. Lights on, TV off, listening to the house exist around me. I didn't tell anyone. I don't know why. Maybe because I didn't want to hear how it sounded. Maybe because part of me still believed there had to be a simple explanation. The third voicemail came 2 days later. This one was longer. Arthur, the voice said, you leave the hallway window unlocked sometimes. You shouldn't do that. It's the easiest one. I felt cold all over. There is a narrow window at the end of the upstairs hallway. It's high off the ground and hard to reach without a chair. I never thought much about it. I rarely touched it. I went upstairs and checked. It was unlocked. I locked it and stood there, staring at the glass, trying to see my reflection in the dark outside. All I saw was the rain. That night, I moved a chair under the bedroom door and slept with a heavy flashlight on the nightstand. The messages kept coming. Not every day. Sometimes there were 2 in a week. Sometimes none for several days. Always the same calm voice. Always my name. Always details about my house. You sit in the living room too much. Your back is to the window there. You should close the curtains before it gets dark. You forgot the garage door yesterday. You were lucky. The worst part wasn't the fear. It was that the voice was right. Every time. I started changing the way I lived. I checked locks twice, then 3 times. I stopped sitting near windows. I turned lights on in rooms I wasn't even using, just so the house wouldn't have dark corners. And slowly, without ever admitting it to myself, I started waiting for the messages. Because as long as the voice was warning me, it meant something else was out there. Something worse. 2 weeks after the first voicemail, I came home from a walk and found muddy footprints on the deck. One set. They stopped right in front of the back door. There were no footprints leading away. That night, my phone buzzed at 11:47 p.m. He came up to the door today, the voice said. He's getting closer. I didn't sleep at all. On the 17th day, the voice changed. It wasn't whispering anymore. It sounded tired. Arthur, it said. I can't stay ahead of him forever. My hands were shaking so badly I had to sit down. What do you want from me? I said out loud, even though I knew it couldn't hear me. There was no answer. That evening, I heard something downstairs. A soft sound, like a footstep placed very carefully. I froze at the top of the stairs, listening. Another step, then another. Slow, patient. I went back into my bedroom and locked the door. My phone was in my hand. I was 1 tap away from calling the police. It buzzed. New voicemail. He's inside, the voice said. Don't make noise. Don't go down the stairs. I backed away from the door, heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. The floor creaked outside the room. Something brushed against the door handle. Just once, like someone testing it. I don't remember deciding to run. I only remember opening the window, feeling the cold rain hit my face, and climbing out onto the small roof over the porch. The drop wasn't far, but my legs were shaking so badly I nearly slipped. Behind me, inside the house, I heard the bedroom door open. A calm voice, not the one from the phone, said my name. Arthur. I let go. They told me the security cameras never saw him. Not when he walked in. Not when he moved through the building. Not when he left. What they did see was me, running out of the stairwell at 3:14 a.m., bleeding from the back of my head, screaming for someone to call 911 like I just come back from the dead. The doctors said I was lucky I didn't fracture my skull. The police said I was lucky to be alive. The building manager said there was no such thing as the floor I described. And that's the part that still keeps me awake at night. I was 58 when I took the night job. Not because I wanted to, but because the company I'd worked for downsized, and experience doesn't mean much once you're past a certain age. The hospital was hiring overnight security, and overnight security paid better than Pride. The place was big, old. It had been expanded so many times over the decades that even the maps on the walls sometimes contradicted each other. New wings, old wings, sublevels added for storage, then repurposed, then half forgotten. My job was simple. Walk the halls, watch the monitors, make sure no one who wasn't supposed to be there stayed there. Most nights were quiet, too quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you hyper-aware of every little sound your own body makes. The night it happened, there was a storm. Not the dramatic kind with thunder and lightning. Just steady, heavy rain that turned the windows into moving sheets of gray and made the outside cameras almost useless. The lenses always fogged up in that kind of weather. Maintenance said they'd fix it. They never did. I remember checking my watch. 2:37 a.m. I just finished a round on the third floor and stepped into the elevator to go down to the main lobby. I pressed L. The doors closed. The elevator started moving. Then it stopped. Not smoothly. Not gently. It jerked. Hard enough that I had to grab the rail. The lights didn't go out. They didn't flicker. They just stayed on, humming softly, like nothing was wrong. The display above the door didn't show a number. It showed a dash. The doors opened. At first, I thought I was still on the third floor. The hallway looked normal. Same off-white walls. Same dull carpet. Same buzzing fluorescent lights. But something felt off. The air was stale. Not like a hospital. Hospitals always smell like cleaner, like chemicals, like something trying to be sterile. This smelled like dust and old paper. I stepped out. The doors closed behind me immediately. I turned around to hit the button and go back. There was no elevator. Just a wall. Smooth. Painted. Seamless. I stood there, staring at it, waiting for my brain to catch up and tell me what I was seeing. Didn't. I told myself it had to be a service level. Some maintenance corridor I'd never been on. Big buildings have plenty of those. I started walking. The hallway was longer than it should have been. The lights were spaced too far apart, leaving long stretches of shadow between them. Every door I passed was closed. Metal. No windows. No labels. I tried the first handle. Locked. The second. Locked. All of them were locked. At the far end of the hall there was a sign. Black letters on white plastic. Archives. Authorized personnel only. That didn't make me feel better. I turned back toward where the elevator should have been. The wall was still there. No seams. No outline. No buttons. That's when I heard footsteps. They weren't loud. They weren't rushed. They were careful. Coming from somewhere far down the hall, past the last pool of light. I called out. My voice sounded wrong in that place. Too thin. Like it didn't belong there. Hello? Security. The footsteps stopped. For a moment, everything was perfectly still. Then they started again. Closer. I walked faster. My shoes sounded too loud on the carpet. The hallway seemed to stretch like it was doing it on purpose. I tried another door. Locked. Another. Locked. The footsteps kept coming. When the shape finally stepped into the light, my first thought was that it was a person. My second thought was that no person should move like that. It was tall. Too tall. Its head almost brushed the ceiling. Its shoulders were narrow, sloping in a way that made its arms hang too low, like the joints were set wrong. It didn't hurry. It didn't need to. It knew I was trapped. I ran. The hallway ended in a stairwell door. I hit it hard, turned the handle, and nearly laughed when it opened. The stairs went down. The lights were dimmer here. Yellow. Old. I took the steps two at a time, my chest burning, my legs already starting to shake. I passed the first landing. Then another. The numbers on the wall made my stomach drop. B4. B9. B16. The hospital didn't go that deep. Not officially. I kept going. Somewhere above me, I heard the stairwell door open. The footsteps started again. They echoed now. By the time I reached the bottom, my vision was starting to blur at the edges. The door there opened into a wide, dark room. Rows and rows of metal shelving stretched out into the shadows. Boxes. Thousands of them. All the same size. All neatly stacked. I grabbed the nearest one and pulled it down. It was heavier than I expected. Inside were files. Patient records. I opened one at random. The first page had a name, a date of admission, and a discharge status. Deceased. I opened another. Same thing. Another. All dead. Then I started recognizing the names. They weren't patients. They were staff. Nurses. Orderlies. Doctors. Security. I found one with my coworker's name on it. Then another. Then I saw a box at the end of the row with only one file inside. Mine. The footsteps reached the bottom of the stairs. I didn't wait to see it again. I ran. I don't remember finding the elevator. I don't remember how I got back to a normal floor. I only remember stumbling out into the lobby, throwing up on the tile, and collapsing against the front desk. They say I was unconscious for 2 minutes, long enough to crack my head on the floor. The hospital administration told me there was no such floor, no archives like that, no missing level. The cameras showed me stepping into the elevator. Then nothing. Then me coming out of the stairwell. 2 months later, a nurse named Carla took the elevator alone during a night shift. They found her badge near the service shafts. They never found her. And sometimes, when the elevator hesitates just a second too long, I don't get in. The police told me I was lucky to be alive. The company told me I was lucky the truck was found. The doctor told me I was lucky I didn't remember everything. But none of them could explain why my radio still turns on by itself at night. And none of them could tell me who made the last delivery under my name. The route had been mine for almost 11 years. Same roads, same small towns, same quiet stretches of highway where you could drive for 20 minutes without seeing another car. I was 55, my knees weren't what they used to be, and my back complained every time I climbed out of the truck. But I liked the work. It was predictable. Honest. You picked something up, you took it somewhere else, and you left it behind. No mysteries. No surprises. At least that's what I thought. The night it happened was already going bad. A storm had rolled in from the west, the slow, soaking kind that doesn't make a lot of noise but never really stops. The sky was low and gray, and the headlights just turned the rain into a wall of moving white lines. I was behind schedule, tired, and more than ready to be done. The dispatcher's voice crackled over the radio as I was finishing my second-to-last stop. "Got one more for you, Martin." I sighed. "It's late." "I know. It's quick. Edge of your zone. Porch drop." She gave me the address. I didn't recognize it. That wasn't unusual. Sometimes people ordered things from places that barely counted as towns. Cabins. Old houses. Places that didn't get a lot of traffic. Still, something about the way she said it made me uneasy. "Anyone home?" I asked. "System says yes," she replied. "You're clear to deliver." The road narrowed the farther I drove. The pavement turned rough. The trees leaned in closer. My GPS kept recalculating like it wasn't sure it wanted to admit this place existed. Finally, it told me I'd arrived. The road ended in a small turnaround. One house sat back from the edge of the trees. No lights, no cars, no other buildings in sight. I sat there for a moment with the engine running, watching the rain slide down the windshield. I should have turned around. Instead, I grabbed the package and got out. The porch was old. The boards creaked under my boots. The front door was closed, but not all the way. It was open just a few inches, like someone had meant to shut it and change their mind. I knocked. No answer. "Delivery," I called out. My voice sounded small in that empty place. I nudged the door with my knuckles. It opened easily. The air inside smelled wrong. Not rotten, just stale. Like a house that had been closed up for a long time. I set the package just inside the doorway and turned to leave. That's when I saw the photographs. They were pinned along the hallway wall, stretching deeper into the house. Dozens of them. Polaroids. All of the same road. My route. Different days. Different weather. Sometimes sunny. Sometimes foggy. Sometimes raining just like tonight. And in every single one, my truck. I stepped closer. My stomach tightened. Some of the photos were old. You could tell by the way the colors had faded. The shape of my truck had changed over the years. Different logos. Different dents. Different scratches. But it was always mine. Then I saw one that was new. Too new. It showed me walking up the porch steps, holding the package, taken from inside the house. I heard the door close behind me. Not slammed. Not rushed. Closed. Carefully. I turned. The door was shut. The lock slid into place with a soft, final click. "Hello," I said. No answer. I tried the handle. It didn't move. The hallway seemed longer now than it had a moment ago. The photos went on farther than I could see, fading into shadow. I took a step back. Then another. My boot brushed against something on the floor. A radio. My radio. The same model mounted in my truck. It was turned off. I bent down and picked it up. The screen flickered to life. Static hissed. Then a voice came through. My dispatcher's voice. "Martin, do you copy?" My throat went dry. "I'm here," I said. I'm at the address." There was a pause. Then, "Martin, you're not on any active route." "Yes, I am," I said. "You sent me." Another pause. Longer this time. "No," she said slowly. "Your truck stopped transmitting 10 minutes ago." The lights in the hallway went out. Not all at once. One by one. Starting from the far end. Moving toward me. I dropped the radio and ran. The hallway didn't lead back to the door. It led deeper into the house. The walls seemed to narrow. The air felt thicker, harder to breathe. I could hear something moving behind me. Not fast. Not slow. Steady. Like it had all the time in the world. I burst into a large room that might have once been a living room. It was empty except for a chair in the center. And on the chair, a man was sitting, or what looked like a man. He was dressed like me. Same uniform, same jacket, same worn boots. His face was turned away. "Don't," he said in my voice. I froze. Slowly he turned his head. It was my face. Older, paler, I stood still. "You always come back," he said. "They always do." "What is this?" I whispered. He smiled. "A stop," he said. "The last one. I don't remember how I got out. The doctors say I was found 2 miles down the road, walking in the rain, bleeding from a cut on my head, repeating my own name like I was trying to remember it. They found my truck parked at the turnaround. The engine was cold. The package was gone. The company's system showed the delivery as completed. Signed for. By me. I quit after that. Sold the truck. Moved. But sometimes, late at night, my old radio turns on by itself. And I hear my own voice, asking if I'm ready for one more stop.